Hello everyone. Oh, hold on. I gotta show the screen. Alright. So I think everything works well. My Wi-Fi should be good. Yesterday it was not working, but today I guess we fixed it. Anyway. Make sure everything's working well. There you go. Alright. So I wanted to review sort of Monday's candle. Because I had not just Neko in my comments, but a couple other people tell me that today was a bit challenging. My forex connections told me that forex was absolutely dead, but I still think today moved pretty well. Let's get into it. Beginning of the day, I don't immediately want to see lower prices. I'm interested in seeing a little bit of a retracement, right? We came beneath these lows and we swept a lot of liquidity last week. We're inside a bullish fair value gap, so it's we had it also relatively low, so it's allowable to see it go up. And when I got up in the morning, first thing I noticed was a trend. So it was about 7 a.m. and I noticed a trend higher. Now, right away, if you see a trend like this, you want to be careful. I took a trade right today, but I was very careful about the trend. It wasn't a really big trend. If it was a little bit bigger, like bigger than the average London range, I would not have traded today. But if you look at the trend overnight, if you just look at London session from midnight to 6 a.m., it's not that big, so it's still tradable. It's not like it did a huge move, but what kind of told me that we would retrace here is that we trended higher during the pre-market ahead of 9:30. So all kind of overnight, all day really, after Asia session, we really just trended higher, and so lots of liquidity was left down here at this trend. And if you go on the regular trading hours gap, you see this huge gap there. Let me turn off the drawings. It's easier to see, but you see that gap. You measure from the close of the previous day to the opening, you get 50%. I wrote that on the orange trend line there, and price came down to that 50% into a discount from, if you look at the bigger range from this low all the way up to that high. Let me close my door for a second. Hold on. So this move down was manipulation to produce another move higher above these relative equal highs. Yeah, that. Let me measure the 50%. There you go. So you don't want to look for longs, anything above that 50%. We were above midnight open all day, so it would have been a bit. I didn't want it really long because we were above midnight open. I felt like the retracement was enough, and we came back and we bounced that range completely, very quickly to go higher. So let's go down to lower time frame, and I found today was pretty nice because we had these relative equal highs, and actually I mentioned these in my weekly review. Talked about how going into next week in my weekly analysis, I would be anticipating this buy side liquidity to be rated. So the reason why is because we have that low there, and this area is gonna, to retail, be seen as a big area of resistance. And so you see how price is moving back and forth a lot in this area because it's accumulating liquidity for a bigger move. It's just a rating the liquidity, retracing, making people believe that we're being resisted by whatever price levels here. And once we clearly break above it and we're trending higher, we're going to have induced buyers, which will then see this level as support, right? And so that's the classic resistance turn to support, which is just a buy side liquidity run. So once we got above that buy side liquidity, I was looking to go lower, and the time we actually got above it was perfect with alignment of the 9:30 open. So that's why I thought it was pretty good, because back here, as we were trending up here, I was watching each of these 5-minute swing lows. Every time we traded beneath one, or we traded back to a discount with a propulsion block or a PD array, I got an error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Alright, I'm sorry if anyone's experiencing buffering. Hopefully when it uploads after it won't do that. But anyways, right, we have I wasn't expecting a reversal around 8 a.m., 7 a.m. Because we weren't at the right time, which is 9:30 open. So that 9 a.m. open is like a news event where you can see a liquidity run and a reversal. And that's what happened here. We ran up to the buy side liquidity, that's a Judas swing, and then we went the other direction. Now we chopped around a lot. And the reason is because I always talk about this, but the Dow, so I'm going to put them side by side, but you want to look at the Dow some of the times, not all the times, but if you see that the Dow is going lower before the NASDAQ is, so you can see up here at 950, right there, 950, the Dow has already sort of started to go lower while the NASDAQ's still trailing behind. So whenever the Dow leads, expect choppy price action. Very simply, if it is best not to trade, right? That means just don't trade. If it's choppy, just don't trade, because the NASDAQ is supposed to be the one that leads. It's the leading asset, and the Dow usually always follows. So yeah, very simply, just don't trade anything if you see the NASDAQ trailing behind the Dow. And this is why the Dow retraced a lot more aggressively than the NASDAQ before the real move lower, which was really nice. It consolidated a whole lot ahead of that and probably chopped up a lot of people, because it was allowing the Dow to retrace back up to a bigger premium, leaving that SMT, so that cracking the correlation at those highs, right? If you look at the bodies, where this one closed and where that one closed and where this one closed and that one closed, there's an obvious difference. The Dow closed higher and the NASDAQ closed lower. So which one is leading now? It's the NASDAQ that's leading. Where is it going? It's going lower, which is when then you can expect that move lower. Now to wait for that move, you would have needed to be extremely patient. I'm not going to pretend like I waited for this move. I was off the charts by that time. I just looked for a simple 10 points this day, right? Because I knew that because the Dow was leading, my model anyways is 10 points, but even if my model was not 10 points and I tried to hold for day trades and large 100-point trades, 60-point trades, today would not have been a day to do so in the morning, right? And you see lunchtime made a low and then quickly started running higher. And then which one was leading? The Dow hasn't even gotten above this high while the NASDAQ has. So bottom of the story is, whenever you see the Dow disagree with what the NASDAQ is doing, if you have a bias to go lower on the NASDAQ and you see the Dow is doing it first, just don't trade it. Oftentimes, what will happen is it'll chop around, and then the NASDAQ will end up doing whatever it does after chopping around, or it will go the other way and then drag the Dow with it by the hair, giving kind of like that Six Sister concept by ICT. But if you want to hear ICT teach about this, just search up Six Sister concept. He touches on it briefly. And yeah, that's just what I've noticed from looking at the Dow and the NASDAQ together, is that one of them leads, the other one follows. And when they don't agree, or it's the Dow that they're agreeing, but it's the Dow that's doing it first before the NASDAQ, you just don't want to trade. You want to watch it, you want to expect choppy price action, or for that bias to fail and the NASDAQ to bring the Dow the other direction. So yeah, that's all. And then in the afternoon, once we went to the regular trading hours 50%, we started this. We ended the retracement and started this higher delivery, which is bringing us towards these, let me go back to the regular setup. It's bringing us towards the relative equal highs up here, which is the low of the daily shaded fair value gap I talked about at the beginning. And that's sort of where the bias is right now. That's where we're headed to. Because another thing I'm going to be doing, this is sort of framing the weekly profile for the next coming days. Because today was clearly a change in the state of delivery, right? We traded beneath, above previous day high. We disrespected a lot of down close candles, and the down close candles are now supporting price. The up close candles are being traded through, right? And if you look at it on the 4 hour, it's especially more obvious. We have a market structure shift. So therefore, I would be considering higher prices to higher PD rates. Now, what am I using to consider that? Like, what PD rates am I using? How am I picking them? I'm doing an IPTA 3-day look back, 3-day look ahead. Right? And if you want to know more about that, ICT talks about IPTA 60, 40, 20 days in his 2017-2016 core mentorship. I believe it's month 5 in the first episode. But I just do the same thing as that, except I do a 1 hour chart. So instead of 60 days, which is 3 months, 40 days, 2 months, 20 days, 1 month, I do, because there's 20 trading days in a month, I do 3 days, 2 days, 1 day inside of a week instead of a month. So I'm noting the day on which the market shift occurred, which is I take the opening, 1800. I look back at the previous 3 days and the next 3 days. So within the next 2 days until Wednesday, the end of Wednesday, which is the beginning of Thursday, I want to see a run higher, reversing around the end, that last day, or maybe Tuesday. So, that would be Wednesday. So potentially I'm looking at a Wednesday high of the week before I continue to move lower. So I'm looking at that 4 hour PD array, right? We have the buy side liquidity here. I'm not considering all the way up here. I don't want it to really go through that daily fair value gap. So that's kind of like what I'm going with until Wednesday. I'm going to stop being bullish and expect a reversal on Wednesday. And if I look at the economic calendar and try and line that up with these expectations, like Tuesday, there is high impact news Tuesday. Existing home sales, yeah, that's okay. And Wednesday you have, I'm pretty sure you have high impact news. You do have the Canada, which has high impact news, but I'm pretty sure nothing. Yeah, Wednesday just for Canada. PMI flash is actually pretty good, and new home sales, more new home sales. So you have a little bit of news on Wednesday. If not Wednesday, then you have high impact news Thursday, which could provide GDP is especially big. That could provide fuel to the reversal, or even just reverse Thursday at the beginning of the day. But the point is that the better price action from here on out is going to be at the end of the week, because you have PCE, which is big, GDP, which is big, and that's it really. So you want to kind of wait till the end of the week. From here, I traded today. I like today because we had the news with Biden dropping out on Saturday, and that created a bit of volatility today. Tomorrow there's still medium impact news, so I can still expect a bit of movement towards that buy side liquidity. But I'd like to see the news later on in the week sort of create a bit of a reversal towards the end of the week, back down lower to create more lows, and then continue this momentum lower. And if not, then I would be looking for the buy side liquidity if it does not happen for the next coming weeks after that. But anyways, that was it for today. Really, maybe I could show a 1 minute chart view of the morning. Actually, I forgot to do that. But there isn't really much. I mean, this fair value gap resisted price, and price came back to it one more time. Bodies respected it nicely, and this rundown was pretty nice. Could have inversed this. Saw a really big and nice run lower. But anyone trading within that consolidation, just again, remember, look at the Dow and compare it side by side. And if you see the Dow is making the first move lower, just don't trade it, study it. that's all I would do, and save my ass a lot of times. But anyways, with that, that's it for today. And thank you very much for anyone that will see us later. Hopefully, it will help you out. And it was just nice to sort of get this out there because I know a lot of people struggled, and I feel like it wasn't that much of a bad day. So hopefully, it'll help somebody. But anyways, that's it.